We're going to give folks just a moment. We were hoping we'd have about 30.
Yeah, we have about 30 on the list.
So you just never know.
It's trying, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's just going to be fussy. Welcome.
And I have certificates for the end of the class. We'll give them to you on your way out. That way you've got them.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't let me forget. I'm sure you won't. We'll put them up there.
It's a very important piece. Okay, I think it's fair we get started, and if anyone wants to join us, then great. Welcome. Everyone's set in the back.
They were the first ones here.
This is not the first place I've come to that happened, so I'm not scary, so next time you can sit right up here. Okay. Well, my name is Tammy Tipton, and I'm a nurse with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas. I'm glad to be here. I drove from north of Topeka, and the roads were fine, and it was a nice drive this morning, so glad to be here. If you cannot hear me or this is being fussy, just, let us know and we'll adjust it.
Is the volume pretty good?
Yeah, it seems to me pretty good, but okay. So, just a quick little bit about me. I like to share kind of where I come from, what my background is. And so, new to Blue Cross Blue Shield in March. Okay. New endeavor for me. Prior to that, I've spent 20-some years in the hospital setting. And so much of that has been on the treatment side of things. I spent most of my time in the emergency room. And then about the last 6 years as a coordinator for the stroke and chest pain programs for a hospital in Topeka. So a lot of time taking care of folks when they come in with major health problems and helping them recover and get them back home. It's awful nice to be on this side of things where we're talking about prevention and what can we do to stay out of the hospital, right? So I think my colleague was here about a month ago, and you guys talked about holiday survival skills. So hopefully those are kicking in, and the holidays are more holidays just around the corner. Good luck with that. So if you have any questions today, don't hesitate. We'll keep this pretty informal. I don't mind questions, or if you want to hold them to the end, that's great too. So, all right. So today we're going to focus on getting started with wellness, and I think this topic fits well as we are moving into the new year. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Got a plan. So important. And I'm curious what your thoughts are when I ask, why is it important to have a plan? Why is it important that you're here today to talk about health and wellness in general? What comes to mind?
Living longer.
Okay.
Living longer, healthier.
What is the quality of life going to be? If I live a long time, what's that going to look like, right? venture to guess that most of us would agree that if I'm going to live a long time, make it so I can go and do what I want to do and enjoy it. Oftentimes, folks will mention children, grandchildren. That's why it's important. I want to be able to do the things with people that I really care about. What about that vacation that you're planning for now or in the future, right? I want to be able to work, to put funds in my pocket so that I can do what I enjoy, right? And retirement is the other that often comes up. A lot of folks looking forward to that day, and I suppose being able to work and being functional and finishing out your career is important to get you there. So let's talk a little bit about our community for wellness. It's a little bit of everywhere, right? We spend a lot of time at work. We certainly have a community here. Maybe a little bit of a different community at home. Outside the workplace, what organizations are you involved in, that type of thing. And the reason that it's important to think about your communities is how do you fit into that community and what does it bring to you? What kind of support, right? How does it provide resources, opportunities for me? How does it impact my decisions? Okay. In choosing our community and our support system wisely, I think we're setting ourselves up for an opportunity to have kind of a better structure, if you will. Plain and simple, it kind of cuts down on the decisions. We're not reinventing the wheel. You're surrounding yourself with people, hopefully, that are bringing you good ideas, commitments that you can be involved in and work on together. So let's talk a little bit about work and our culture or our community here. What does that look like? When you think about the behaviors throughout your workday, whether it's when you sit down to have a meal or you have a break, what things are in this building or tied to your workplace that help you or potentially hinder your behaviors? Thoughts on that? Some of you may have worked here a long time. You probably know this really well. Okay, so what things do you have in the building that make it convenient?
When there's people bringing in a bunch of food,
Okay.
it's
So potluck, or we're having a party today, right? It's in the break room. Go grab it. Yeah, good and bad, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, it's yummy. It's yummy. What else?
Some people have access to exercise equipment.
Okay.
And I suppose if everybody had the right schedule, everybody would have access to it, but they don't.
So it's more of a daytime
Yes.
hours. Okay. Okay. So those of you here during the day shift are the lucky ones. Okay. What else? Any vending machines in the courthouse? Yes? Okay. Well, I see a lot of variation. It's awful hard to, I guess in my experience or my opinion, to make those vending machines completely healthy options. But there are ways to adjust them so that maybe there are some healthier options through the vending. When you talk about convenience, if you're a person that visits the vending machine, right, that behavior, let alone the cost, is something to think about. I mention vending machines because that's kind of a common in the workplace. So I challenge you to think about look around you, whether it's in your little area or it's in the building. What things do you see on an ongoing basis that are impacting you or your coworkers in a positive way or in a negative way? You have a voice. Obviously, you're here. You're interested in staying healthy and well. So think about opportunities to kind of brainstorm and consider, maybe even a small change. Another one that comes to mind is, access to good water. That's always, it may seem simple, but, whether it's bottled or it's dispensing or it's a water filling machine, that type of thing. Hopefully down the road there are opportunities to, bring on things like that that would help promote hydration, that type of thing. Okay, so in terms of setting goals for our wellness, what goals are you folks considering? Losing weight. Absolutely. Common one, first of the year's rolling around, right? I'm going to wait until after the holidays, and I'm going to get on that plan, right? Sure. The things that our goals that we're considering or planning for change all the time, naturally. What else?
Not to eat so much.
Okay. Cutting back?
Watch what you eat.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of good food next couple of weeks.
So for each of us, just moving into the holidays, there's that thought of, how am I going to handle this, right? Am I going to have everything that's on the table at the gathering, a little bit of each, or am I going to spend my time kind of browsing my favorites and make sure that I kind of stay closer to my calorie consumption by just picking out my favorite things? We should enjoy. There's a lot of time spent cooking good food, and it's not a day to say, no, I can't eat that stuff. It's just, coming up with a plan that works best for you. So, okay. What other? I've heard weight loss. Strengthening, absolutely. Great. That's one that we sometimes forget in our physical activity plan.
Cooking at home more.
Okay. Less eating out, less packaged food. Eating at home, I like that.
Moving
Okay. Being more active. I like that.
Sleeping more.
Yeah. Working on your sleep.
I average like 3.5 hours.
Oh, girl. You stay after. We're gonna have to talk. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned several great ideas. Some of our common goal setting may be centered around simply what you do at a biometric screening. Remind me, here at Reno County, do you guys do a biometric screening like on an annual basis? Or okay, so you're familiar. So we're doing things to potentially adjust where we're at with those screening metrics. Maybe I'm working on my blood pressure. A lot of the things that you mentioned would impact that. Or maybe I'm diabetic or pre-diabetic, and there are ways that I can adjust my lifestyle behaviors and set some goals. I love that you mentioned sleep. How much sleep are we striving for? What's recommended for us? Yeah, 7 to 9. So if you're not getting that much sleep, quality sleep, then thinking about, why don't I? There are a lot of good tools these days that help us kind of figure that out. And stress, that's a good one to mention. How do I improve my stress management? Okay. So just some ideas to brainstorm. Okay, so the why. Why do I want to set a goal? Why am I interested? What's important to me? This kind of goes back to that conversation of just even that foundational why for me. It's because of I want to be here for my children or my family. I want to be here to enjoy that retirement. I want a good quality of life, whatever that is that for you. So thinking through the why will get you a long ways. Whether that is related to your health and fitness goals or just in general, thinking about the goals you've set in the past. How many of you have set a goal in the past and just completely blew it? Yeah. So thinking about why is that, okay? Why did that goal not work for me, okay? We're going to talk about that a little bit. So one suggestion I've brought today is use the SMART goals, okay? And we're going to talk about what that means. You want to set yourself up for success. Find things that you feel like are specific enough, that are measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I always forget the last part. I'm reluctant to say I'm going to do this in this amount of time, right? So being specific gives us an opportunity to just be clear with our goal. If I say I'm going to lose weight, I'm probably going to have a hard time sticking to that because I've not set myself up with specifics, okay? Something that I can achieve and then move on from there. I just want to feel better. So what we'll talk about is instead of setting up a general goal, a conceptual goal, then maybe being more specific, like saying to feel better, I'm going to exercise for X amount of time and put it on the calendar. Okay. So here are some ideas. I like the first one. I'm going to fit into those favorite pair of jeans that I can't wear anymore. Okay. That's very measurable, something that is specific. So, think about what goals you have in mind here in the near future. Sleep. I'm going to improve my sleep by a certain amount of hours. Thankfully, we have some tracking devices these days that help us even track sleep, track our activity. Makes it a little easier than trying to do it, writing it by hand. All right, I mentioned measurable. If it's not measurable, how are we going to know if we reach it, right? Okay, so be specific. It helps us hold ourselves accountable. All right. What things are we measuring? What things are coming to mind? I probably mentioned a few. Calories. Okay. You can log your food. Get an idea of how much am I consuming on a regular basis. That's a great idea.
Measure your size before you start.
Measurements. Mm-hmm. I brought measuring tapes today. How handy. So why is it important that we measure our waistline and keep an eye on that, at least on an annual basis? What are your thoughts?
So you can see the progress.
Yeah. So am I gaining weight around my midline? Am I maintaining? So it gives you an idea. And really the important reason is we know that the more weight and fat that we carry around our midsection increases our risk for heart disease, cardiovascular disease, stroke. Okay. Especially men. All right. So that's why it's important at your annual biometric screening that we take a quick measurement of waistline and then kind of look and see how's it going from year to year. Okay. Again, when we can't fit into our favorite pants, then it's probably time to measure. Okay. All right, so there may be specific measurements that you're aiming for. Think about that in terms of your goal. All right, attainable. Attainable goals. Something that's not too lofty. Anyone care to share some examples that come to mind? Anything you've tried that you just found, man, that just isn't going to work for me? I see some smiles. My colleague tells a story about she thought she would be interested in swimming. I forget what got her interested in that. So she invested in, swimsuit, swim hat, whatever. And she was going to the local YMCA, and it didn't take long, and she realized, this is not for me. The first time was fine. The pool wasn't crowded. She enjoyed it. But then the next few times she went, it was a chaotic mess, and she just realized this is not going to be a good fit for me. So I thought that was a good example. I mean, I'm sure there's a long list of them. But, think about what actually is going to work for you, right? What's realistic? Like it or not, we also have to think about what is it that makes it realistic? Is it affordable, right? What things do I need? If I'm going to take up swimming, what do I need to purchase that I don't already have in my dresser drawer? Okay. All right. And we'll talk about a little bit more, but just, being careful about setting our goals specific to weight loss and making sure that we're not setting a goal that is expecting us to lose too quickly. Okay. So if it's a relevant goal, it's important. Okay. We're always prioritizing. Ladies in the room, extra important for us to think about this, right? We put everyone else first, especially this time of year. Everyone's schedules are full to the brim. So thinking about your goal setting and how is that including you, right? Making sure that you're not forgetting that one important thing. Okay. All right, and my favorite, the time bound. So are you putting it on the calendar? Okay. If you're going to start walking more at work, I'm going to take the stairs twice a day. Whatever that goal is, put it on the calendar. I don't know if you guys use a calendar that has reminders. Hey, get up and go walk, or you could use your tracking device, remind you, set yourself up with a plan, okay? And then making sure that you're holding yourself to that. We'll talk about, I think, in one of the next slides, but the importance of, if it's not easy for you to do it by yourself, find someone that you can do it with, right? There's actually strong research behind having that exercise buddy or that accountability partner, and truly how that impacts our success. All right. So there are a few other things to think about. The who, what, where, when, right? Enlisting that partner I just mentioned. So who do I need to include? And before I move on to the what, think hard about who is it that is going to be your best support. Maybe this is something, you're taking on something new that you've never done before. Maybe your best friend, Sally, you just know. She's not going to be, for whatever reason, she's not going to be on board with this idea, right? And so when you spend time with her and talk about this, it's not going to be motivating, or it's not going to be a good support. Think about who is your best support, and maybe that changes with this particular goal. What you don't want is someone who's going to sabotage the plan, right? Right. Find someone who's on board with you and that will be a good partner. Okay. All right, we talked a little bit about equipment. What do I need to get started? Right? Recently, I just decided to start using a gym that's at Blue Cross. I had toured it but never really gotten involved. And one of the last things I've done is they have a cycling class. My goodness, has anybody ever taken a cycling class? Good exercise. Yeah, I got a long ways to go. So it will get easier. I know it will. But just, taking advantage of that membership, taking advantage of going to use the equipment during the day, showing other people that you're getting engaged and being involved, hopefully will encourage others to do the same. And hopefully will help you with your journey and be more likely to keep going, right? Just getting the shoes on and showing up is the biggest part. All right. You've heard me hound you about put it on your calendar. Otherwise, your calendar's going to fill up and your day you'll be 8 o'clock at night and you'll think, gosh, I still didn't get that done, right? Okay. I like to mention the bullet on write it down. No different than saying it, okay? If I'm committed to my goal, maybe there's a way by writing it down, journaling. Maybe I'm a list maker. Maybe I'm a Facebook person. Whatever it is that is kind of your system for staying tied in by writing down or saying it out loud. Talk to people about how your goal's going. Just keeping your networking going surrounding your goal will help. Okay. So where else in this community, if you're not using the equipment, for example, for exercise here in the building, where else can you go? What other things are you guys doing? The why? Okay.
Walking trails.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sports arena.
Now what's the sports arena?
It's an arena. It's here in town where the JUCO plays and use a walking hours.
Oh, nice. Okay. So some indoor walking, great. Okay. Maybe not so specific to location, but has anyone tried yoga? That's kind of comes to mind as kind of a newer type of exercise. I would challenge you. I honestly haven't tried it much myself, but I would challenge you to think about just doing a little reading and scoping it out. I'm hearing a lot of positive things about the practice, and there's actually, if you're not interested in like a group session type of exercise, there's a lot of apps that you can do it on your own, just one-on-one. It's very basic, and it kind of just introduces what is this and why does it work. What about, resistance bands? That's another favorite I like to mention. Such an easy way to use a rubber band to stretch and strengthen, okay? And we can throw those in our desk drawer or in our car. They're very portable, okay? Hopefully one of the next times I come, I'll bring some examples of those and we'll talk about them. We'll experiment a little bit. Okay. All right, so how do I remember my goal? How do I keep it on the forefront? Okay, you guys have any good ideas? I wrote down some obvious. Post it up, right? Put it on the bathroom mirror, put it on the refrigerator, put it in the car. The other thing is maybe move your reminder. Maybe not keeping it in the same place where it just kind of gets stagnant. Okay, maybe it's putting it on your phone and it's a reminder. Okay. All right. In terms of tracking your behavior, if you're a paper person, write it down. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to get fancy and use a tracking device or something online. Okay. We talked a little bit about goals that were hard to achieve. And one thing that I'd like to mention is just, really think about why is it that I wasn't able to even get started maybe with that goal, or why it didn't work out, why I wasn't able to maintain it, okay? We all know that we may start a goal and we fall off for some reason. Life gets busy. And the important thing is that we restart, okay? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So keeping that in mind, and then also that sometimes there's just really maybe no obvious reason why. The important part is we move on. Pick a different goal. Change it up, okay? Don't get stuck, right? Coming from kind of an all or nothing person, I've tried to change that as I've gotten older. I've realized that that hadn't worked out so well for me, you know. But just some thoughts. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about weight loss being a common goal. And what we have to remember is that not only is it calories in, calories out. Okay, certainly important to have an idea of how many calories am I consuming. Anybody ever used a food log before? Okay, any good ones that you want to share? Mm-hmm. That's a very common one, favorite that I've heard of. Lose It. Lose It is an app that I've used. I think it's probably very similar. My Plate. I love that you mentioned that because I probably would have forgot to. How many of you are familiar with My Plate? Okay, if you're not, check it out. Good information. My Plate is, I think of it as kind of a national initiative to give us some guidance toward dietary habits, okay? The nice part is that it gives you some general guidelines and recommendations, but it also gives some specific guidelines for children, for people with specific health conditions. It's written very well and it's very understandable. They have some tools that kind of connect to the message. The purpose is really thinking about the food groups and then making sure you're getting all of the food groups on your plate. Okay. The important thing these days is that we talk about not eliminating certain food groups. There's a lot of diets out there that are suggesting, you know, cut out this, cut out that. Okay. So when I'm talking about putting the right foods on your plate and making sure that all the food groups are incorporated, when I would ask fruits and vegetables, how much of your plate is fruits and vegetables? How much should it be, right? Half, absolutely. And then grains. What are our other food groups? Dairy. Getting in our grains, dairies, protein or meat, right? What am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting one. So yeah, great suggestion. I was going to share a quick story. Using the Lose It app this spring, I decided I'm going to just track my food for a little bit. And it's nice because it allows you to scan a food label. So once everyone kind of eats, would you agree, kind of common foods. So once you've scanned it once, then it's easier every day to keep track. And you can just pick it once you've scanned it in. And an ad came across. Does anybody like an occasional adult beverage? Yeah? So an ad came across that was advertising a Moscow Mule drink in a can, which is not typically something, I don't know why it caught my interest. And so the can was beautiful, and I don't know. So it said, here's where you find these in Kansas. And it kept coming across my social media to say, hey, or here's where you find them in this state. And so you could click on this link and say, here are the stores to go to. So there was one right on the way home. So I thought, well, shoot, I'll try this. So I stopped in, and it was 4 cans. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd, 4 cans. That's not going to be enough. So I get it home, and I chilled it, and I thought, I'm going to try this. Because usually I'm just kind of a light beer, you know, less than 100 calories, right? Something like that. So I'd had 1 or 2, and again, I'm in this mentality of logging my food. So I thought, well, shoot, I have to log this too, right? Well, there's no content information whatsoever on the can. Nothing. Yeah, scary. So I scan it, and how many calories is one can? Any guesses?
300.
Good guess. It's like just over 400 calories in a can. Yes. And I tell this story, and sometimes people just kind of just, well, that's not really that great of a story, but for someone who's tracking their calories, that hits home. So the terrible part was I had already shared this with a friend who also likes an occasional Moscow Mule. And anyway, I said, gosh, these are pretty darn good. You should, check them out. So I texted her real quick and said, never mind. That was a terrible suggestion. 400 and some calories. So if I had not have logged, I think that's the kind of trouble we get into. I don't know how many other foods there are out there that don't have content, the food label right on the package, but that was just an example, of how easy it is to consume something, and maybe on a regular basis, that you really don't want 400 calories a can. So, exactly. Yeah, I could have had 4 beers. No, I'm not promoting that, but it's just, it's tough stuff, so good thing I was logging my food. So, all right, guys, back on track. So what steps are you taking already? Okay, there may be things that you're already incorporating to, eliminate certain foods or to work on your plan. Okay, so make sure you have your new kitchen device on your Christmas list. Okay, all right. In terms of what's reasonable, let's talk about this for a minute. How much weight loss are they saying is appropriate these days? If I'm setting up a plan to lose some weight, what percentage of weight seems to be a fair percentage? Okay, you ladies are right on. 5, 8, maybe 10 at the very most. Okay, so in thinking about your ultimate goal, maybe you do want to lose more than 10%, but don't set yourself up for that all at once. Okay? So start with small amounts. Or the 1 to 2 pounds a week, maybe. All right. The great news is, back to kind of talking about our biometric metrics, if I'm looking to lower my blood pressure, improve my cholesterol panel, or my blood sugar, what they're saying is you can make small adjustments in your lifestyle, okay? Improving your diet, exercising more, just by losing a small amount of weight, you can lower all of these things tremendously, okay? So for the blood pressure, I kind of gave you an idea. So if you're doing the right things and can start lowering your blood pressure, you could probably plan, it's going to take me a couple months, to work on that. But truly, by adjusting our lifestyle behaviors, we can see dramatic changes in our numbers just by exercising a little bit more and losing some weight. Okay, that's great news. All right, in terms of physical activity, I think we've had an opportunity to talk about that quite a bit. Find something you can stick to, right? What are our current guidelines for physical activity? Any idea? 30 minutes a day. Yeah. How many days a week? 3 or 4? It's 5. Okay. So 5 days a week of physical activity. Okay. So if that is moderate physical activity, I'm walking, doing some cardio, workout, at least 30 minutes a day. And then 2 days a week, the recommendation is getting some kind of muscle strengthening in, okay? I think we touched on a few ideas, but when I say muscle strengthening, what comes to mind? What things can we do? The obvious, right? Weightlifting.
Can't you do some of that with bands though too?
Exactly. Resistance bands,
Ball or something?
some kind of stretching and resistance. Absolutely. What about the kettlebell? Anybody experimented with that? That keeps it pretty simple. It's just a one hand weight. There's some pretty simple exercises you can do with it. Does a lot of core strengthening. Yoga, I mentioned, is a great example. So there's a lot of ways. I just want you to know there's a lot of ways that you can get some strengthening in that maybe isn't just traditional weightlifting. Okay. So figuring out how do I incorporate that into my week, right? Okay. You got tired of waiting on me. Okay. Clicker's back. All right. We talked about give yourself permission to make mistakes. All right. Keep moving forward. Use the SMART goals. Okay. Hopefully that helps you put a goal together for your goals together for the year that are attainable. We're just having too much fun. It doesn't want us to leave. Okay, quick reminder. I did bring a card that speaks to this, but our nurse coaching program available through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas is something you should be familiar with. It is available to anyone who is an insured member. So think about if it's ever helpful to you. You can reach out to these nurses by phone. You can enroll usually 6 to 12 weeks. It is no cost to you. And the things that they can help with are listed here. Okay, so chronic diseases that we often see, as well as the wellness programs. So if I'm needing some help with weight loss, stress management, or tobacco cessation, reach out to these girls. Great team of nurses. They're a lot of help. People are having some good success and really enjoying the kind of accountability partner. So if you're interested, you can enroll online on the Blue Cross website, or you can call them to enroll. If you have questions, let me know. What questions do you guys have for me? We're ready to go set up some goals for the year. That easy. It's that easy, Cody. All right. Well, be sure you get your certificate before you leave.
And the sign-in sheet.
And sign in, please. How many? I'll have to count heads before you guys take off. Thank you. We'll see you next time. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.